We spent 6 hours in American Samoa. We're going to tell you all about it. Where are we?
We are in Wynnum, Queensland, Australia, just east of Brisbane on the coast, having a great time. And, we took a cruise from LA to Sydney, and one of our stops was in American Samoa, Pago Pago.
Pago? What'd you say?
Pago? Yes, Pago Pago. A lot of people were pronouncing it wrong on the ship. They were calling it Pago Pago, Pago Pago, Pig. Anyways,
yeah, all that. So it's like bongo.
It's like bongo, but it's Pago. Pago. Okay. American Samoa.
And so American Samoa is actually the eastern side of the Samoa Islands. So the western side is Samoa, used to be called Western Samoa, and the eastern side is American Samoa. And the western side is managed or controlled, or their territories of the English and the French generally. And then the the eastern side, which is American Samoa, is controlled by the Americans, and it's a territory of the U.S.
Yeah, and it's a great place. And we had a wonderful welcome when we first arrived. There were dancers and singers that were serenading us as the ship pulled in.
Talofa is hello in Samoan.
In a beautiful little community.
Yeah.
And it was a great welcome.
Yeah, so Pago Pago is actually the city on the island, on the biggest island of the chain of islands in Pago Pago. And it's actually, what's interesting is the international date line separates the western side of the Samoas from the eastern side of the Samoas. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it was really interesting. When we left there, we went across the international date line, and you go through this vortex and things spiral and spin, and you come out the other side, and it's the day before.
Yeah,
or the day after. It was crazy.
Yeah, whatever. Anyway, it is cool that we'll show you a map here of how the international date line goes between the two sides of the island. So that's kind of cool. So anyway, what did we do after we saw this really great greeting from everybody, and they sang and they danced, and it was really nice for them to greet us like that. Yeah. And then what did we do?
Well, the first thing we did was on your bucket list item was to go to the national park. And actually, you walk through town, and there's a national park office. And this is a U.S. national park, which is really special in the middle of the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah, the Samoa National Park. It's the most southern and most western national park of the U.S. National Park System.
Yeah.
And it was totally cool because the park rangers actually wore, I don't know, are they called sarongs? I don't even know, skirts. The men wore skirts or sarongs. I'm sure there's a local word for it. And that was part of their official uniform. The police also wore the same thing. They had the long skirts. But you'll see in this picture that I'm wearing a sarong as well, because the Samoans think that women walking around in shorts may not be the best way for women to walk around in shorts, and they appreciate when things are covered. And I actually got many comments from the locals about how much they love my sarong and how much they appreciated the fact that I wasn't walking around looking like all the tourists. So that was kind of neat to do that.
Yeah, it's nice to appreciate the culture.
And be respectful.
Be respectful.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
But, national park rangers are Chris's favorite people.
And librarians too. And librarians too. So, we had a nice chat with them, and they showed us all the great things about the park. Now, the problem with the park for us was it's the western side of the island, west of where the cruise ships come in, and there's some great hiking there. The problem is the transportation to get there. So you can take a taxi to a trailhead, but trying to get the taxi to come pick you up later is the challenge. And the challenge for us, actually, we talk all the time about how much we either like Google Fi, depending on where we are, or FlexiRoam. You can watch our videos here about how to use your phone anywhere. American Samoa is not one of those places.
No.
There's no cell service available. There weren't any SIM cards that you could buy.
I know, and we really had no doubt because we were figuring, this is a U.S. territory.
Yeah,
surely one of our phone plans is going to work there.
They did not. And there was no SIM cards to buy either. So we did not have phone service while we were in Samoa, so we didn't want to end up out a trailhead, have to call a taxi, and not be able to have one come pick up us up. I mean, we could have made arrangements, but it was just a little bit more complicated than the time we had in order to be able to enjoy it. So there were other things we could do.
Yeah, because there were a lot of things on our list that we wanted to do. And one of the things that they recommended at the national park was to go to the Heritage Trail.
Right.
Which was a little bit on the other side of town. So we walked through town again and walked up a really nice trail.
Well, it was kind of sketchy at the get-go. Yeah. There was actually a local person living there that said, "Are you looking for the trail?" We said, "Yeah." She goes, "It's around this way." And there was this kind of rotten out sign that says the trail was temporarily closed. The sign, I think, was maybe 10 years old. So after we kind of found the trailhead, then, and friends of ours, from our friends Kathy and Tim from Taste Life with Us, make sure you subscribe to their channel, they were with us. So the four of us trekked up this tropical trail, maybe a half a mile, maybe a mile, not too far.
Yeah. It was nice, and we went up. There was a gun battery at the top, which was leftover from World War II, and it certainly wasn't in operation. In fact, they had a plaque that talked about how it was restored, and
the Boy Scouts and the Eagle Scouts had restored it.
Yeah. So that was kind of cool up there. The views were not as great as we hoped they were. You kind of still had to peek through the foliage to see the ocean, but it was a great, nice.
But it was a nice hike to do. So if you've got closed-toed shoes and you're up for a 2-hour adventure to go hike from the cruise ship, definitely go do it. There's no facilities, there's no bathrooms, there's no signage, there's no anything that's going to help you.
But it's great.
Yeah, but it is enjoyable. Lots of tropical vegetation and things to look at. So. And beautiful flowers and birds and things along the way. Definitely, we enjoyed it. Absolutely recommend it. Nobody really promotes it in the cruise industry because there's no way to make money off of it. So it's kind of a do it on your own sort of thing. But speaking of that, though, when we got off the cruise, there were a bunch of the local buses that you are. So if you purchase an excursion from the cruise, you go on these buses, or you can get off the cruise and you can also go on the buses. Whether you book through the cruise or not, there's a way to do that. So for about $20, you can get on these buses, and the seats are made out of wood, and there's no air conditioning, and the windows are down, and there's no audio or speakers. So a lot of people actually who paid the $20 when they got off the ship, they paid $20 and got on one of these little tours that went around the island. They kind of complained that it was not very comfortable or very enjoyable. So we actually passed on that and went and did these things. So you see these buses. We nickname them. Steve's like, I'm not going to say what the word is. So in Mexico, they would be called a chicken bus. They don't use that term here, so we're not going to use it. But if you know what a chicken bus is in Mexico, you know what these are in Samoa.
And this is the local transportation. So this is the public transportation. This is the way that people get around on the island.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when we came down from the Heritage Trail, we thought we'd flag down on one of the local buses, but they were already commandeered by the people who got on them for tours.
I think there's 3,000 people get off the ship into a community of 2,000 people.
Right.
So
we'll have to check to see what the actual community number is, but so I think it's more than 2,000. I will put it down below as a correction. But anyway, so we flagged down a taxi, and we said we want to go to $2 beach. So our friends had snorkel gear with them, and we said let's go to the $2 beach. So we flagged the taxi down. What happened?
Yeah. Well, so there are a number of beaches, but they're all private, so there aren't any good really public open beaches. So this is called the $2 beach, but it's actually not $2. They've raised the price. It's $5. But since you are on the U.S. basically territory, it's all everything's in dollars.
Right.
So it wasn't like we had to go to the ATM to get the correct currency.
We had $20 with us, so we spent
US
it.
money.
Yeah.
So we went to the $2 beach, which is $5. Which is actually a great beach. It was well worth it.
This beach was unbelievable. It had chairs and shade and so on. But what was unbelievable about it was the snorkeling. And we had just been in Moorea 3 or 4 days before, 2 days before, and the snorkeling was good for sure. I mean,
it
go
was
to Moorea
great
to
by
snorkel.
a lot of standards. It was amazing.
But the snorkeling in Samoa was better than the snorkeling in Moorea. It was right off the shore.
And
you could walk right off the beach.
You pointed this out to me. We saw a seahorse, which is I've been scuba diving and snorkeling a number of times, and had never seen a seahorse, and this was pretty cool.
Yeah, sadly we don't have pictures because we don't have an underwater camera. Oh, by the way, I'm Chris.
I'm Steve.
And we are Eat, Walk, Learn. We are a full-time traveling nomad couple sharing with you our nomad life. It was kind of a nice day not to be looking on our phones all day.
So you have to take our word for it. Beautiful beach. You should do it.
Yeah, we'll show you a picture of the beach. But the snorkeling was actually unbelievable. And it was right off the beach. I mean, the water was really maybe 3 feet deep, 3 or 4 feet deep.
It was not places deep. Where it was too shallow.
Yeah.
Of course, we don't know what the tides were, but anyways.
Yeah, it was really great. So don't underestimate snorkeling in Samoa, and it was free. I mean, but you have to bring your own gear. Well, it's free. You got to pay $5 at the beach. They have no gear at the beach, so you have to have your own gear. So you can buy it in town or bring it or whatever. But then on the way back, we passed. So Steve and I are children of the 70s commercials. And we have a favorite character from the 70s commercials, Charlie the Tuna. Do you remember him? What was it? What did Charlie the Tuna say?
He said, where they said, sorry, Charlie.
So, only good tasting tuna get star kissed.
Something like that.
Only good tasting tuna get to be star kissed. The Starkist plant is in Samoa.
And it's huge.
It's huge.
And we asked our taxi driver on the way back, and he said that it's a good place to work. It's a good job for a good job. Locals. This is people want to work there because it's a good paying job, and also the place where you can get the best Samoan food.
Yeah. So when we drove by the first time on the way to $2 Beach, everybody was off on their shift having lunch, and so a lot of little mom and pop places have popped up to sell the locals local food in order to have lunch. When we came back, they were all back at work again, but we got to see the Charlie the Tuna logo outside. And we said to the guy, is that, because it doesn't say Starkist on it, it just has the icon. So we said to the guy, is that Starkist? He says, yeah. So interestingly, there's no Starkist branding anywhere. So we could say a lot about that maybe, or you could say a lot about that. We're not trying to say anything about that, except that it was fun to see the logo, and it was interesting to ask the taxi driver about the quality of the job, how people consider the quality of the jobs there, and whatever. So we're not trying to get into any other comments except for those. Right?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, Charlie. For the best tasting tuna is Starkfish. Starkist. Anyway, don't forget that we went to the post office.
Yeah. So we got some postcards. We wanted to mail our kids some postcards. So we went to the post office, and the funny thing is, you walk in the post office, and you could be in any city in the United States. It looked just like a U.S. post office. There's I don't want to say that like the very typical postal worker is working, kind of going at a regular kind of a steady pace. You kind of look, there's like a half wall, and you look behind it, and there's these bins of just piles of like parcels and packages.
And they sell U.S. stamps.
And you stand in line for way too long. It just was like, reminded me of like a post office in Denver or Tampa or anywhere we went.
Yeah. And the last thing we did is we went through the market. They had some stalls set up selling typical stuff. Interestingly, did you get that in Samoa or in Tahiti?
This is my Tahiti shirt.
I got this in Tahiti too, and they sell similar stuff to this. I guess Samoa has stuff unique to Samoa that I don't know if a local would say this looks like Tahiti and not Samoa. I don't know, but the stuff if you are cruising and you want to get tropical clothing like we've got on, don't get it in Tahiti. Wait till you get to Samoa. It is cheaper in Samoa by about half. I wish we would have known before in Tahiti that Samoa was going to be about half. The inventory is not as much, but the quality is better, and you find cottons in Samoa as opposed to nylons and polyesters, and the price is about half of what there was in Tahiti for cheaper quality stuff. So, tip.
Do it.
Yep. Anyway, that was our 6 hours. So we went to the Heritage Trail, we went to the post office, we went to the market, we went to the $2 Beach, we went to the national park, and lived to tell about it. And really had a really good time. And Pongo rhymes with bongo.
People are super friendly. Yeah. Great place to visit.
Yeah. So, hope you go there. See you later.
Oh, and by the way, I'm Steve. This is Chris. We're with Eat, Walk, Learn. We are a full-time traveling couple, traveling the world and exploring in adventures and saying things that we probably shouldn't say on video.